Good afternoon, everybody. Today I've got a piece of, I believe it's part of the pignut hickory that I've got out there, and I'm going to do a little flower out of it. I had a couple of these that I made for the railroad days in Hinton last weekend actually, the 17th, 18th, and 19th, and they're all gone. Sold them all, and they sold really well. So the trick is we're going really thin with it, and I've only, out of the 10 that I originally made, only one broke on me, so I have a good ratio right now. However, because I'm doing a video of it, most likely this one will break too, but we're going to see about that. First thing we're going to do is we're going to round it off the best we can. Not much, don't touch much up here. You'll see here in a second. Different people have different ways that they make them. They may do the top end first, which there's nothing wrong with that at all. I've done them both ways, not a big deal. So now that I've got the base rounded and I've got this to work with, we're going to make the petal portion. They call it a podlet flowers, something of that nature, but we're going to leave the live edge bark around, so that means I'm going to have to bring this top down a bunch. Let's see where that puts us. That looks pretty sharp around the corner, around the edge piece. That's good. It's okay to have a piece of branch that is off center, curvy, because it brings out the petal a little bit more. One thing you want to try not to do, even if you have to manually offset your piece, is you don't want the pith to be right down the stem. I don't think, but I may be wrong, I don't think I'm going to run into that issue because my pith's about a 1/4 inch this direction to me, the way it sits right now. So now I've got it flat. I'm going to dig into it and see how I want this one to go. Just a slight slant down. Try not to touch the edge of your furthest point out. Yeah, the object now is to go without really touching the outer edge. You want to try to go in and down. You can go in and down as far as you want to go. I try to go probably like maybe a 1/2 inch, depending on how big the petal is. This petal is rather small, so I won't go too awful far. But that's what we're going to work on. A little bit more, and then we can work on the inside, or the back side. No, I'm going to go a little bit more, just for the fun of it. Actually, no. Yes, we got it. And that one's going to be my last, because that's definitely enough dip down into it. Now, before we move on, we need to do a little, a little bit of sanding. It's already rather smooth because I should have said this in the beginning. You want to have green wood. You want it to still be wet because it needs to flex. Do a quick sanding real quick. I'm going to use a 320 on it. And I'm going slower, so more like 600 RPM right now, just to give it a little bit of smooth out. And you'll see when we get to the other point, when I flip you over to the other side, when I'm doing the inside of the petal, what difference that's going to make. Alright, now to work the stem. And we're going to start on the top of the petal first. longest part out. Make sure we're not hitting. Alright, I'm going to go to a smaller gouge. I'm about 1100 almost. And this is when you slowly work your way up to getting to the pedal here. The inside of the pedal, you want to be about 3 millimeters thick for it to be able to bend and stuff through time. You don't need to go fast. You don't need to go too far at one time either. The more you stop and check it, the better, because I've already hit that really thin mark on this edge piece here. So now I just need to make sure that I'm going in. Yes, that is actually pretty darn thin, so I'm already starting to be able to see the light through it. Give myself some room. And don't bite off too much at one time. Alright, still following a good path. I'm going to go ahead and work a little bit more on this back side and make it a little bit smoother and thinner. The very end's good, so it's still a little thick right here at this point, right in here where I'm just starting to get into the thicker part. Do more of a scrape to it just to get that thinned out. Very, very lightly. And through time, you'll know how thick you're going with it, because whatever the light may be going through, you'll be able to see a difference in the lighting. And in this case, since I do have an offset, there's going to be a lot of air between cutting here to here. So the faster you have your speed, the better it is right now. And I'm still pretty good. Let me see. Well, I'm actually, yep, a little bit less, a smidge less than 3 millimeters at the end. And it's pretty even across right now. The more you stop and check, the better. Then you have less of a chance of going all the way through. And you want to try to get out whatever imperfections you can before you get all the way down to the bottom, because by that time you're already going to have some drying and warping, let alone the air in between. And as you can see, I'm barely touching the thing. Don't push too hard when you're trying to go scrape into it, especially when it's this thin. Alright, now we're able to start moving in even further. And this part's hard because remember, you have the pedal concaving in, and you need to make sure that you don't, while you're going in and down to maintain the flow with the curve like you would do with a bolt. Because if you go straight in too fast, too quick, the whole pedal's going to fly off. That was the one that I messed up on the other day. And I'm also going left-handed in here too, so my cuts aren't the best. And I got a little rough spot right there, a little scraping on it. Still doing pretty darn good on thickness. little spot that I may have missed earlier. I missed it because the turn blended in with the bark on that short side. Because here's the little mark area and it blends right in with that edge. But that's thin enough I can, or stable enough I can probably sand that out. But we still got more room to go. Yes, I know I have the tool rest too high, but in this case, with doing this, I'm more comfortable. I'm already getting a bunch of chatter because it's already starting to dry and warp. Now I'm starting to go to the point where I'm angling in to keep the 3mm thickness or better, and then I want to get the stem as thin as possible. Let alone the pith, I've just made it through, so there was a little rough spot there. Now, yes, I do put my finger in here for stability at times, especially when we get to this part. I'm supporting the flower with it. You don't have to do it this way. I've just noticed it helps me. I keep my thumb on the tool to give it support. And seeing through the petal is still pretty thick right here. Now I'm making the podlet part down here. Doesn't have to be big, and I'm probably going to make it smaller circumference on it, but that's probably going to be the top of it, and the rest of this will be stem. I want to get a little bit more of that podlet part rounded before I start doing the stem. And you can design this part however you want. I like to go around, and you can always adjust it later on. You just want to get your basic part done with it. And I will touch it up because there's still a little bit of sap right there where the bark was right at the edge. So right between the thick bark and the sap wood, that's that part right there. And I'll get that out later. Now I can start moving in to the stem a little bit more with the details. Now I'll probably go back and forth between a skew and a detail gouge. Because for some reason the detail gouge, the skew, I'm not the best at it. It takes some while getting used to. But I wait for that one until a little bit later on. And the thinner you go, the more wobble you're going to start picking up. Some people move the tailstock up and put a support right here. I've done it both ways actually, so. And then I'll support my finger on the back once I can get a little bit more of that back part down. So we'll do that first. You can do the same thing with the detail gouge as you can with the skew. My detail gouge I think needs to be sharpened now. Well, it's kind of hard for me to do that and you be able to see it. Sorry. Just nibbling away, thinning it out. See if I can do a better job this way. I'm not pressing hard on the stem with my finger. If it starts to, really heat up and not, I wouldn't say burn you, but you know the difference between something that's just doing a slight little rub to where it starts to really get hot. If it's starting to really get hot on your finger, you're pushing too hard. You're just trying to keep the stem from wobbling. That side's good, I gotta go the other way. I really can't get around the back of it, so. And part of my problem is the pith. I've got a little bit of the pith going from here that way. So here in the pedal, cross point here, and then cross point down there. So this right here, I'm hitting the pith. So I'm probably going to have to stop with the skew and just use sandpaper for the rest. And we are looking at 4 millimeters stem, maybe down to 3. Alright, I'm going to try a little bit more, but this is probably going to be my downfall. Okay, not too sure where in the sanding portion it cut off on me at, but I started out with 120 just because it wasn't too smooth. Then it hit 240 grit and then 320 grit. And now I'm going to part it off, and then I'll get the light up to it so you can see a little bit better through it if you can't see it from there. So let's go ahead and get this thing parted. And yes, you could use just a regular flat saw on it, but I want to get it further down before I do that. Just be mindful of your speed and go in the right direction. There we go. Now I'll get the little saw out. Okay, so there's our little flower. It's already starting to bend a little bit, and it's already starting to get some other discoloration, starting to get little red spots in it. So that's neat. So from this point, all you would have to do is sand off the bottom, sign it if that's what you want to do. And let me get a better light real quick. Adjust the camera. Let me see here. Ugh. I'm just going to take it off. I'll just do that. So now I can see what you all see. Oh, take out that. Yeah, zoom it out. And now you can see how thin it is because you can see the light behind it and my finger. And you can get thinner than 3 millimeters. The thinner you go, the better outcome you're going to get in the first place. So, well, there she is. A little off center. Y'all have a good one. Give it a try.